This is Rapid, a fast-paced action game where you take control of a giant mech. High mobility movement and tense enemy encounters will test your skills as a pilot, no matter the playstyle you choose to go with. Complete missions, earn credits, purchase parts such as weapons and armor, and apply paint jobs to your creation to really call it your own. This time around I have very exciting and new stuff to show you. Like our new mech model, new guns, new core abilities, the newly made weight class system for your builds, a whole player hub, and even introduce you to our new team member. Since this is our 4th devlog, I thought that before introducing new changes to the game, I wanted to tell you how this project came to be and where we come from as developers. It all started in my 2nd year at the university where I studied game design. You see, I moved countries to study game design here in Germany. I had to learn the language to the acceptable level, in this case German B2, and pass some other entrance exams. In the university itself, the more time went by, the more it became clear that the level of education, at least in the game design course, was very underwhelming. Most of the time we studied business and management, leaving a very small room to develop hard skills in order to become game developers. Often in college you come to understand what you really want to do with your life. At first I wanted to be a producer. A person whose job is to make sure that every team member knows what kind of game we are making. It is a management position where you communicate between different departments, make sure that the devs are happy, and keep track of the development pipeline. But making games by myself made me realize how much I value combat and gameplay as a main pillar and center of my favorite games. So I leaned heavily towards making prototypes and demos featuring combat systems and tutorials. In the 4th semester, I eventually found a group of people I tend to connect with when it comes to game development, via the common Discord server where all uni students and employees of game design hang out. Here is where I found Michael, now a 3D artist and an art director for Rapid. You are familiar with him if you watched my previous devlogs. At first I asked him to make a mostly human proportioned mech model that I can use to make a demo game around. Shortly after that, the first playable prototype was made. You can see how rough the game looked back then, since Michael essentially had no hand in the art of the game. With more time and more systems refined, Michael decided to join the project. Since mecha genre is something he enjoys, I would say more than I do. With him on board, the game received a new post-processing look you see today. The cell shading combined with reasonably thick outlines gave a game a unique look, where the colors really pop in most levels, but also leaving a room for a darker atmosphere in certain moments. This is something you guys tend to praise, and I agree. Not only this is pleasing to look at, but graphically it also makes the game timeless, where players will be able to pick up the game years from the official release and the game won't look outdated. After a couple of months I released our 3rd devlog, where another developer reached out to us and offered to help with the project. His name is Matt, and after a short talk with him, it was clear that he would be an invaluable help to us. Just like Michael, Matt is a developer with years of professional game industry experience. Not only that, but he also made mech games in the past and quite handy with Unreal Engine. I can't stress enough how much easier it is to work on a project with a team of 3, especially when all of the people are qualified and know their field. Every task is handled without a hitch and overall development is smooth. The quality of programming is way higher and I can finally discuss design ideas with another designer. His first big project for Rapid is the Player's Hub. Let me show you an early version of it. Here is where you purchase parts and weapons, customize your mech, paint it, choose your missions and configure the game settings. In the customization menu, you get to pick your head, body, arms, legs, right hand weapon, left hand weapon, right bumper core ability, and left bumper core ability. Of course it wasn't enough for us, so after the mech build system was implemented, Michael and Matt started working on colors and paint jobs. At first you could choose to paint your primary and secondary colors. Within a week or so, you could paint your individual parts of your mech to your liking. As if that wasn't enough, they added tertiary color parts, detail colors, detail color 2, and energy colors, as well as the ability to paint your individual weapons. And of course they went even deeper, adding 21 patterns that have 2 slots of their own. On top of that, you can set the metalness of the pattern and even the scale of it. I cannot tell you how happy I am to see us having a working in-depth paint job system. Things like that do wonders for the replayability of the game. Soon we will have a system where you can save your favorite mech loadouts, containing your build and colors. On to the next news. As you might have already noticed, we redesigned our poster child mech. Michael remodeled it from scratch, removing bending elements of the body such as the zone here in the stomach. The new model torso now sits on the rotating gizmo, eliminating any non-mecha connections to its design. Similar thing was done with the neck of the character, twists in the wrists, elbows, and the thumb. The hands themselves received a much needed rework in size and proportions. Our old hands were slightly freaky looking, with fingers that are too long and a thumb that only hosted 2 bones. The new hands are slick and clean, with visible mechanisms holding the palms together. The whole design now resembles speed, maneuverability, and aerodynamic capabilities. New emissive energy parts were added to flesh out certain elements. And this is interesting to me, since it shows how a thorough concept and research can not only change the look and feel of the model, but also raise the quality by quite a lot. Of course, it is already fully customizable. Next up, let me introduce you to the weight class system of the mechs. Just like I mentioned in the previous devlog, your mech will be assigned a class based on the combined weights of all of your parts. You will get generally slower the heavier you get, and after passing every weight threshold, the animations and in some cases functionality will change. This is how a light mech handles. Dodges are frequent and the boost is fast. The boost jump is smooth and sends you up with quite the force. Medium mechs are generally slower, with their boost looking like a sprint, and the boost jump resulting in a backflip that has more vertical than horizontal velocity. Now, heavy mechs work a bit differently. When boosting, you start accelerating and in about 2 seconds will reach max speed. Boost jump will require some wind-up time, and the jump itself is almost entirely vertical, allowing you to be the king of the high jumps while lacking a horizontal launch. The heavier you get, the farther your dodge distance gets. But as a counterbalance, you can't execute them as fast as a light build could. You have to find a playstyle that suits you, since all of the values are dynamic. For example, medium mechs could be the light medium or heavy medium, meaning that they will find themselves in the same category but having different dynamic values, such as speed and dodge distance, will make them feel quite different. This is what we want to achieve, to make this game and include a lot of different playstyles for you to mess around with. Speaking of which, time for new gear and guns. One of our new core items is an attachable set of additional boosters. Placed behind your back, these help you stay mid-air as long as you have resource available. Essentially, you don't need to come back to the ground as often, making fighting and traversing a little easier, plus they look fucking cool. For guns, our ballistic assault rifle finally got a model. The goal was to make a sci-fi AR but don't make it stand out, something that you might expect to see in a run-of-the-mill futuristic assault rifle. And here is our first shotgun. It is powerful but rather heavy. It shoots bullets in a pattern that encourages you to be up close, so that all of your bullets hit the target. For our laser weapon, we decided to go with the pistol. It was designed to be one of the first weapons that you get in the game. All laser weapons in the game will receive an increase in damage, but decrease in stagger buildup and weakness exploit. This pistol will host a large magazine, a relatively quick reload speed and a generous effective range. As you can already tell, it is user-friendly. To balance it, the downside of this one will be its damage potential. Our last change is the introduction of the wall jump mechanic. Michael mentioned the need for more thorough traversal and I started to prototype different mechanics. After wall run, wall stick and other ideas that were unsatisfactory to me, I implemented a feature where if you dodge into a direction of any wall, you will execute a wall jump. This is useful when you don't want to descend back to the ground, and instead pick a wall nearby to keep your momentum up and move through the level faster. With this system in, the movement in the game definitely became more fun, with me just getting lost in jumping around the level, seeing how efficient I can be at movement in general. And that's it for this devlog. The reason why this devlog is a little shorter is because we refactored a lot of the game's code, for the game to run smoother, for ease of use, such as adding new systems to make the introduction of new guns and mechs easier, and for our own sake as developers to not get lost in the files. In addition to that, we spent quite a bit of time replacing our main character's skeleton. The new skeleton will allow us to dynamically change the position of players' arms and legs, making sure that all arms fit every body part, as well as setting up proper leg offsets. This means that some of our mechs will feature wider shoulders and a bigger gap between each leg part to make unique mech designs that will stand out. For our next milestones, we plan to reprogram and redesign enemy behavior, give them new models and actions to challenge the player's movement. New levels will be introduced, UI will be redesigned, and we will add up to 2 ranged and 1 melee weapon. After we are done and happy with those changes, we can finally call the demo complete. You will be able to play it and offer us your feedback. Don't worry, the Steam page is coming, we are just not happy with the polish of the game yet. As always, thank you so much for following the development of Rapid. Over on our Patreon you can support the development of the game and making of these videos. I post updates on the game with exclusive content, chat with supporters and give you updates on our schedule. Special thanks to the Commander tier patrons. Weakest Brazilian Male, Crazy Serial Eater, Turbo Chicken, Slepe, Fazilus, Isil, and Dusty Deer. You guys really make my work easier. To everyone who is even slightly interested in our game, thank you. Your interest keeps us going through the most tedious stages of debugging, programming, or modeling. If you enjoyed this devlog, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye!